Welcome back, everyone, to Vox Markets. My name is Paul Hill, and I'm delighted again to be able to speak to CEO Adam Holland of Mpac, a leading global high-speed packaging and automation solutions group. So welcome, Adam.
Thanks, Paul. No, good to be here.
Well, big congrats on today's blockbuster 56 million euro acquisition of CSi Palletising, coming on the back of the $17 million purchase of Boston Conveyor and Automation only 2 weeks ago. So maybe we could start there. I suppose you could just quickly take us through the two businesses that have been purchased, plus the sort of strategic logic behind the deals and how they fit into the wider group.
Yeah, no, look, I'm delighted to. It's a big moment for Mpac Group as a whole. So this whole strategy has been about filling out a flow line within a factory. If you imagine walking to one of our customers' factories where they're producing FMCG goods, these goods come down a production line. They go into kind of primary packaging where they're put into their first wrapper of some sort, or a carton, or whatever it might be, into a cardboard carton. Those cartons are often put into corrugated cardboard cases and then onto palletizers at the end, which take those larger boxes and put them onto a wooden pallet for distribution. Historically, Mpac has been able to cover some of the aspects of a production line, but not a complete flow line. And for us, our acquisition strategy has been all about starting to fill out a fuller and fuller flow line. The BCA business, Boston Conveyor Automation, that you talked about at the start, is upstream of our cartoning and case packing business, so just upstream of that in a customer's factory. And today's announcement, the CSi business, is downstream at the palletizing end. So a really substantial strategic change for the group today.
Yeah. And let's just run that through sort of like an example. I mean, I used to work in my long distance past for Unilever, and I was an engineer actually at university. So let's just assume I'm sort of a purchasing engineer in a factory, Unilever. I'm making millions and millions of Magnum ice creams. Now, I want to reduce or rationalize my supplier base. I want to cut the cost, and I actually want to have better seamless throughput of my equipment at a lower cost, more efficient and higher quality product. How can Mpac help me better with that, with reducing those friction costs, having just bought those two deals?
Yeah, I mean, that's a perfect example, Paul. It's all about being able to provide a turnkey solution to a customer. So, when an organization like Unilever puts together a new factory, maybe there's a new trend for, a new flavor of ice cream or a new format of ice cream, who knows what it might be. The team in Unilever who have to then procure all the capital equipment to build their factory have got some real complexities to handle the interfaces between those different bits of equipment. These acquisitions that we're talking about today take away all of that complexity. The Boston Conveyors business, it's an incredible capability in that team. They can handle what you and I would call raw food. It's often described in our industry as naked food, they can convey that on hygienic sanitary conveyors. They can got little pick and place robots that can actually pick up the food products and move them around during the production process. And then they come into a cartoning machine. Imagine you're sticking your ice creams in the freezer at home. They often come in an eight pack of ice creams. That box is the carton that our Mpac machines can load up at very high speed. In fact, some of the ice cream factories that we're involved with today, we're putting ice creams at the rate of 16 a second into a carton. So you can imagine the speed at which these things are moving. They've all got to go out of the end of the factory somehow, and they're managed out the back end of the factory on wooden pallets. And those palletizers that stack the boxes, it's an incredible rate of production. The CSi business can palletize boxes from once every 2 seconds to every half a second. 2 a second cases being loaded onto a pallet. So you imagine what that looks like and the speed of production. It's a really incredible thing to witness.
Yeah, well, those ice creams definitely got to be packed quick because they come out of my freezer pretty rapidly as well. So
Absolutely.
need to replenish it. Now, when we first chatted, which was about, I don't know, 8 or 9 months ago, you'd basically, I think you'd just given your full year sort of expectations or, for the year end sort of stuff. And it was about a 114 million sales business. And you put that sort of target that you were going to aim to double revenues in 5 years. Well, you don't hang around, do you? So can you just give us a feeling of what sort of scale these two businesses are? Because it seems to have significantly got towards that objective.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a very significant step towards the objective. So today's acquisition of CSI last year, 2023, CSI turned over 72 million euros. So it's a significant business. Together with the BCA acquisition, I mean, fundamentally, it takes 2 years off our 5-year plan. We're now on track to do our 5-year plan in 3 years. So it's a big step forward for the group. As I say, we've done it for the strategic rationale of what this does for our customers, but the impact on our business and bottom line performance is very significant too.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, and then just terms of the integration plan, is there a sufficient bandwidth to integrate? It's a very big bolt-on deal, the Boston Conveyor and Automation. Plus, actually, this is a transformational deal for the CSI because it adds another, sort of like 70, 80 million pound of turnover on the top line.
Yeah, the short answer is yes, and we've spent considerable time making sure that that answer is yes. And I think the key to it is they're two very different businesses and run in two very different ways. So let's start with the BCA business. That business is led by Jim Lavadier. Jim set the business up. He owned the business prior to the acquisition. He's now a shareholder in Mpac, of course. He runs that Boston business today, just as he did 3 weeks ago before this deal was announced. So in terms of structural change for the BCA team, there's not a significant structural change there. Of course, there are huge opportunities for us to help to grow the BCA business with sales in North America and into the rest of the world. So we're working very hard with Jim on that. And there'll be some ERP system changes in the background that we'll work through. Your viewers will probably remember that we've been on an ERP journey in Mpac for several years now. So this is just the fifth in a long line of ERP rollouts. The last one we did in the US the middle of last year. So that team's very experienced and ready to go. No acquisition is simple, no integration plan is simple, but I think the BCA integration plan is about as straightforward as we can make it, and that's thanks to Jim and the team. Yeah. The CSI business, it's a different beast. It's a substantial undertaking for Mpac. It brings nearly 450 people into the Mpac group. So it's a significant undertaking for that integration program. We've got a dedicated integration team going in to manage that, and a substantial. It's a separate team from the BCA integration team, and the plan is well thought through. We've got a dedicated group of people from supply chain, from the sales team, from the operations team, from finance, from IT, from the legal team, a whole raft of people involved in that, led by a dedicated project manager who's got buckets of experience doing these kinds of programs. So no, we're really excited about it, Paul. It is a lot for us to get our teeth into, and as always, it starts with the customer.
Yeah, it's a better. Basically, you're creating a better solution, easier to deal with for the actual customer, aren't you? Which is fantastic. Now, just in terms of the sort of synergies geographically as well, and just more broadly, what type of synergies, cost savings? Because I know you've got the sort of. I think the CSI Palletising is more European focused, and obviously talking about the sort of with the whole group now leveraging the scale that you've generated. Below gross margin, but more importantly, also the above gross margin to get that seamless end-to-end solution in the hands of customers.
Yeah, our first focus is customers and the sales synergies that are possible there. I think Jan and the team have done a great job growing the CSI business. It really is a global business. They've got a substantial footprint in Europe, but very successful sales into South America as well, and across the rest of the world. For the Mpac team, the acquisition of CSI gives us a gateway into South America that perhaps we haven't had the success in that CSI have. CSI have a team in Mexico who are their gateway into the South America continent, and we're looking forward to working with that Mexican team to see how we can expand sales there. For the CSI business, we've got some very interesting plans for the US market. It's a market that CSI have been looking to expand into, and as you know, Mpac, for us, half of our sales to date have been into the US market, so we've been very successful in penetrating there. There's a couple of interesting crossovers as well with customers. So we're looking forward to cross-selling between the two customer bases and providing customers of both previous organizations with a new offering that was not possible before. So I think the sales piece is the most interesting for all of us to focus on, and for our customers particularly. The second piece is cost, as you say. So CSI were previously headquartered in the Netherlands, and as well as a very capable engineering, sales, service, supply chain, project management team there, They also have assembly and manufacturing businesses in Romania, in Cluj and in Reagan. We're really interested in the manufacturing capability. The team have done a great job of improving their gross margins over many years by increasing the manufacturing content, the machining content of their business in Romania. And that's typically a piece of work that we've outsourced to suppliers in the past. It won't be an overnight change. Of course, we'll be working with our suppliers for the months and years ahead. But over time, we'll start to insource work into our Romanian facilities. And that gives us a cost advantage that previously would have been difficult for the Mpac team to see.
Yeah, no, in previous conversations, you've mentioned that it's difficult actually getting robotics engineers, and that was one of your big KPIs.
Yeah.
Just in terms of sort of like the service OEM split between equipment and service, because I know again a strategic objective for the group is to move from sort of 25% service up to 30% of the total revenue. How much sort of like service does the BCA and the CSi acquisitions bring to the business?
Yeah, I think it's probably worth saying that in both cases, we can see opportunities to help grow the service business. I mean, partly, frankly, that's just through scale of having field service teams globally across the customer base that we support. That proximity is what customers are looking for. When you think about the things that really are the focus of a customer, it's first-time fixes of field service teams, lead time to quote, lead time to deliver parts, lead time to a field service visit. These quick responses really matter. So to the extent that we can do that, we can drive the percentage of revenue that comes from services up. Let me give you a number, just to give you a sense. The CSi business saw 17% of their revenue coming from services in the last year. And as you say, Mpac is sort of in the high 20s, heading towards 30%. So there's a substantial opportunity there, and we're looking forward to working with the team to deliver it.
Yeah, and just in terms of timescales for the integration between obviously Mpac, BCA, and CSi to get these seamless solutions to deliver the cost and sales synergies. I guess the cost synergies will be delivered quicker than the sales synergies, but do you just give us a flavour of how long you think this will take to bring them all together and to get it humming and singing?
Yeah, as you say, it's quite a complex answer because some of the things will happen almost straight away.
Yeah.
There's one delay we'll have before completing on the deal with CSi. We have to wait for the Romanian government to give an approval for our foreign direct investment into Romania. So there'll be a brief pause after the SPA signature until that is complete. Once that's in place, it's day one starts and off we go. So from that day onwards, we'll be very, very focused on that integration plan. As you say, that some of the activities can happen very quickly. I think probably it's worth pointing out that both the existing Mpac group and now the CSi team joining us have long order books. We enjoy an order book that covers 60 to 80% of our forward load over the next 12 months. So any change that we make today to a proposal to a customer doesn't hit the shop floor for quite a period of time. And our prospect pipeline is also very long, typically 12, 18, even 24 months in some cases. So we know the sales cycle is long. We know the project execution period is long. It will take time for the integration to see through in our numbers, but I suspect that the teams will feel it from day one because this starts with a cultural piece, getting our teams to work together in a way that wasn't possible before. And that really is a day one activity.
Yeah, and culturally, I guess they're pretty much aligned. Particularly we've got the BCA, the owner is actually staying with the company, isn't he?
Yes, and frankly, Paul, that's part of what we look for. We've been very selective in the companies that we've chosen to focus our acquisition strategy on. They fit with the strategic plan, but it's really important that the culture is a good fit for the Mpac group.
And then I know when it comes to funding, the BCA deal was funded through the RCF with HSBC.
Yeah,
you could just talk through how the CSi acquisition is being funded.
Yeah, certainly. So the RCF has been extended actually with HSBC to part fund the deal with CSi as well. But very important to mention, this also involves a placing on the London stock market. So there has been an equity raise. I'm really encouraged to see that our existing shareholders and some new institutional, try saying that quickly, some new institutional holders have come on board as well. And we're really excited to see the support both from non-holders and from our existing shareholders. So I feel very lucky to have such supportive shareholders. We're in a good place. We've got a very bright future.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised, because I mean the value add that you're going to bring to your customers, which is the key reason for bringing it, is going to be enormous. So yeah, I can understand why shareholders wanted to sort of get on board. So bringing it all together, then the sort of the key messages from the deals, because as I say, you know, you haven't really sort of like stopped this September. In fact, the last month and a bit, you made the small acquisition of Seeger Vision. You then put out your interims, and then you sort of done the 2 deals in September. I mean, what sort of come next, and just sort of like the last key messages and sort of remarks for how you see and are shaping the business?
Well, it's been a transformational year for the group, Paul. I think the whole team have done a good job in delivering on the organic growth strategy, on the piece around clean energy, and the third leg of our strategy has been around acquisition. And obviously, it's been a substantial transformative moment for Mpac in the last few weeks, with Synergies Vision, with BCA, and now with the CSi team joining us. We've got our hands full now to manage that integration project over the next few weeks. You know, I think for any of your listeners thinking about what comes next, look, we have plans, but we're very conscious that we have to deliver on the plans that we've started before we take on anything more. So, you know, we are very clear on what we need to go and do. It's all about filling out a full line offering to customers and moving towards turnkey solutions, and that's where we're going.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thanks again, and massive congrats. Really, really transformational deals. So look forward in touching base in the next few months then, Adam.
Very good. Take care.
Bye.